there's a ton of projects that we have to do. How do you think about qualifying, prioritizing, resourcing these projects? What comes to mind when you think of, okay, this is a must do, and then this one, we can actually put on the back burner. Can you tell us a little bit about your qualification framework, Keith?
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say that there are three dimensions to this. The first is what you have to have, which and you really can't get anywhere to any degree of repeatable, reliable prioritization without it. But you've got to have a true north. You got to know what are your existential problems, or what are the really well defined goals of your team, your business, the organization that you serve, right? You got to know what direction you're walking in, or running in, maybe. But after that, I would say it comes down to understanding the degree of need, or maybe what I often like to refer to, at least in the realm of like buying third party technology, product need fit. So, does the product fit the need, right? That's a whole practice unto itself. And I have a lot of ideas and processes and methodologies on how to determine that, and I could probably do a whole podcast about that. But I would say after that point, once you determine if product need fit is there, and product could be the internal solution as well, right? Doesn't necessarily have to be third party. Next, you have to understand the complexity of it, right? So if you know that I have this problem, I have this product that meets the need, but it's an insanely complex thing to do, then guess what? You get to do that thing and maybe nothing else, right?
Hmm.
But you may find that I have this need and I have these four products available to me that are of lesser complexity, and maybe they each offer cumulatively more value than that single product that's insanely complex. So I'm going to do all four of these versus that one thing. And then there's
Hmm.
not necessarily a fourth overall dimension, but I do tend to ask this question, like, what happens if we don't do it?
Mm.
Like, what happens if we don't buy the thing or we don't build the thing?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
will we be okay without it? There are a lot of things in this life and in my professional work that I really want to do, right? I'll give you, a really practical example. I've been at OpenAI for a little around 18 months now, right? I was the founding member of our go-to-market systems team. I've had the privilege of building this team up. And while we've been doing that, we've been walking a really fine balance of how much process to embrace for ourselves, right? I love process. I love spreadsheets. I love methodology. So like I would love to do every ounce of process to have a beautiful board of knowing where everything is, and if you select this is at risk, you do this and all of that. But guess what? We're okay without most of that. We're
Mm-hmm.
doing really good work at the same time. So you do need to ask that question and be really truthfully honest with yourself and your team and your organization. What happens if we don't do it? Will we be okay if we don't? And that's just you gotta answer, you gotta ask and answer that question.
Yeah. And
Such a good point.
I assume, like, and this is probably, uh, you know, just like laying this one up, but I assume you're also like iterating with ChatGPT when you're doing like the prioritization,
Oh
um,
yeah, for
and
sure.
the risk analysis. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's like when you do find that thing that is a little bit more turnkey, and you're like, okay, this is how I approach this particular question or problem each time. You're probably in, again, being selfishly promoting OpenAI's technology, so you're probably in GPT territory. Like that means if you're feeling pretty routine or repeatable
Yeah.
about what you're doing, then go build a darn GPT and tell it how to do that, and what inputs to ask
Mhm.
of you and what outputs to provide you in return.
Yeah, yeah, love that. I actually have a custom GPT for helping me define the effort that takes for a certain task. Like this is something I've always sucked at in my career, and a lot of folks like deciding prioritization frameworks. Like the effort factor in this is so hard to gauge when we've never done it before. And so what I'll do is I'll like give a list of tasks and the effort that I think each task takes, and then I'll ask GPT to tell me like what am I not thinking about. And then there's always a couple in there that I didn't
Yes.
think about, and then I just like reprompt it like based on these things that I didn't think about, what else am I not thinking about, and which of these tasks do you think could take a lot longer because of external factors that we're not thinking about. And Like this
Mhm.
whole like exercise of iteration and back and forth, I think is really helping the effort estimation because like any engineering team or like Martech technology team knows that you can always 2x the amount of effort or time you think it's going to take to implement something, right?
It's so interesting, Phil, because I've heard people say, and I'll spoil alert, I agree with this statement that like AI, even in its current state, is at the same scale of benefit, if you will, that the introduction of the internet was, right?
Mm,
Because with the internet, we were connecting humanity and we were storing the collective knowledge of our species somewhere that, and obviously there's tons of problems to solve about access to the internet and increasing that connectivity, but that was a paradigm shift, right? But
Yeah.
now we've made that thing conversational,
mm.
right? Now we have
Mm.
something. I can't. I wish I could give credit to the person who I saw this post. They were like, "Why aren't you using ChatGPT? It has almost the entirety of human knowledge at its disposal. Ask it any question you want. Ask it to double check its answer. Like gut check it yourself. The same way when you read a news headline, maybe you should check the source of that headline, right? But like it's all there. So like just ask the darn question because
Yeah.
worst case scenario, you get an answer you don't want to use, and now you know not to use that answer.